Thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed that film as much as I did. You are probably also practicing the choreography in your apartment like I am. As I said at the beginning, we are so excited to be joined by Ariana DeBose. She has taken New York by storm in the last 5 years. She was in the original Broadway cast of Hamilton. She was in A Bronx Tale. She got a Tony nomination for her performance in the Donna Summer musical, and she is going to be Anita in the new film version by Steven Spielberg of West Side Story. She plays Alyssa Green in The Prom, as well as Jo Ellen Pellman, the newcomer who is totally holding her own opposite Meryl and Nicole Kidman and James Corden and all the folks you just saw. They both give wonderful performances, and I'm excited to hear what they have to say. This conversation will be moderated by content creator Max Emerson. So enjoy this conversation with the stars of The Prom.
Hi.
Hey there, guys.
Hi.
Thank you both so much for being a part of this. I'm really, really excited to be here with you today. I was fortunate enough to see The Prom on Broadway when Ryan Murphy had his party and announced it. That was super, super exciting. And what I really like about watching this film is that it has that same kind of in-person element where you're excited and not sure what's going to happen next because you have all of these massive stars with these two relative newcomers going up against them. So there's still a lot of that tension, and it was just very exciting and fun to watch. So thank you. Really nice work.
Thank you.
This was your first project in the Ryan Murphy universe. What was that like for you guys? Were you fans of Glee and American Horror Story? Ariana?
Oh yeah, I was a big fan of American Horror Story and a big fan of Glee as well. But I will be honest, I'm one of those weirdos who I kind of like watching thrillers and gore, and so American Horror Story was up my alley. But more to the point, I love how Ryan champions queer stories. He's never been shy about it. He's always put our stories up front and center, and allowed them to essentially adapt and also allow for the possibility of them to be romantic leads. That in particular was very, very interesting to me. And you know, I think Ryan he's such an icon anyways. So to have the opportunity to work with him and be collaborative, it was unexpected and just a joy every day because he has one of the best laughs in the history of the world. It's like a full body laugh. So to experience his laughter was really, really cool.
Glee came out when I was like in like middle school and high school, and I was such a Gleek. It was set in Ohio, and I'm from Ohio. I'm currently in Cincinnati, Ohio right now. And I think it is like 100% one of the reasons why I wanted to pursue performing as a career. And so I feel like I have like Ryan Murphy to thank, one, for like inspiring my love of this art form, and then two, for like giving me this opportunity. And like absolutely co-sign everything that Ariana says. Like Ryan is a visionary, and what's so remarkable about him is that he knows exactly what he wants out of a performance, but he really allows us as actors to find our own path to there and to really explore all the different nuances of the character. And he's been a champion of LGBTQ storytelling for decades, and I'm just so grateful that we had this opportunity to work with him.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful. He was at the after party after the show on Broadway when you had the event, and I chickened out. I couldn't talk to him. I was way too starstruck. I didn't want to, I was way too worried about coming off like just some fanboy. Jo Ellen.
Oh no.
Oh, it's real.
So
It's real. Jo Ellen, this is your first feature debut role, and Ariana, this is one of your firsts. What was it like that day? What was your reaction when you got the call saying you were being cast with all of these legends?
So I actually, so my mom and I saw The Prom on Broadway long before I knew about like the movie adaptation, or before I even knew about the audition. Like we had heard such wonderful things about the film, and it really resonated with both of us. Like I'm queer, my mom is gay, and so we really wanted to see this show together. And I just remember like leaving the theater and feeling like, okay, this is why I wanted to become an actor, because sometimes you get so lucky and you just strike gold that you work on a piece that's, one, so artistically brilliant and sound, and two, has this wonderful message. I mean, we were just laughing and crying through the whole show. And then it was not until the summer of 2019 that I found out I got an audition for it, and I was just over the moon, and I did, all the things you do for a dream audition, practiced it a million different times, and then I just, had to go in and do my best, and I knew that was all I could do. And then like a month went by before I heard anything. And then I got a call that my tape was going to be sent to Ryan and there might be a callback. And then I got another call that there would be a callback. And then the night before the callback, I found out I was the only person they were reading for Emma, but I still, at that point, I didn't know who was going to be reading for Alyssa Green. And so I remember I walked into the waiting room and I saw Ariana DeBose's name on the sign-in sheet, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like she's a Broadway icon, and like truly someone who I've looked up to for my whole career. And now here we are, like making small talk, like getting to know each other ahead of this chemistry read. And she like I cannot state enough just how much she made the experience just so easy and so fun. Like, I'm so glad that we got to do that little audition together, and it went well. And then the next day I got the call while I was at a thrift shop in Bushwick, Brooklyn. So
I love
whirlwind of a, I know, whirlwind.
That's so good. I mean, for myself, I was working on West Side when all of this started happening for me, which was quite a weird experience because you're working on one job and thinking about the life of a different character at the same time. But I was I on set when I found out I actually got the prom? I think I was on set. I was working. So it was interesting. I didn't have time to like do a full happy dance, but on the inside I was like beaming. Because Anita, she has such an interesting life of her own, which is very different from Alyssa Green. But it was like Jo Ellen said, it was such a wonderful experience. And she came into the waiting room on the day of our chemistry read, and we started talking about our star signs. So it's like, what better way to start off a relationship than to talk about your sign?
And your signs were compatible, apparently.
I think they are.
Yeah, I think so. We've been working on some other things behind the scenes together, and our communication styles were like yin and yang. It's really great.
I know. And I remember we asked Ryan what his star sign was too. Oh, and he's a Scorpio. And I'm also a Scorpio.
And I was like, oh.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Following up on this in the same kind of vein, what was it like to work with such an all-star ensemble? I mean, there were Oscar-winning actors in this cast. Like, was there anything that you had to do beforehand to counteract the nerves?
Oh gosh. I mean, every day was an exercise in keeping it together. I mean, how do you not show up to work and fangirl over Meryl Streep or Nicole Kidman or Kerry Washington or any of them? Because they're all.
Well, you've had practice. You were in Hamilton, right? So.
I was. I will say that was a really good head start. Yeah. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of them back. I remember the night Meryl Streep came to see Hamilton, and she was so kind to all of us, like from the ensemble member to Lynn to everybody. But it was good prep work, put it that way, so that I could actually form a sentence when I had to talk about something important.
Yeah, I would say just figuring out how to be chill and just like be a normal person around these wonderful humans. And I do think like that was sort of the best part of this experience for me, is like not only is like every day just like a master class in acting and like performing through song and dance, but also just like getting to know them as humans. Like I remember my first day on set with Meryl Streep, it was like I think only my second day of filming, and I walk into the hotel lobby. We were shooting at one of the hotel scenes in the lobby. I walk in and I see, you know, the whole cast, they were like sitting on couches, like talking amongst each other, and Meryl like scoots over and pats the seat next to her and it's like, come sit by me. And like she just both literally and figuratively like made room for me, and she made sure that I felt like I belong, because all of like, that's what's so great. Like every single member of our brilliant cast, like they were once in our shoes where it was their first, film, or one of their first films. And they wanted to make sure that we felt like we belonged there. And so I'm so grateful that we got to work with them.
That's really wonderful. And that's kind of the energy you want for these roles anyways, is like the young, super excited, high energy lovers. It kind of reminds me though of, I don't know if you've seen the meme going around. There's a Japanese roller coaster that during COVID, they don't want people screaming. So on the sign, it says, please scream inside your heart.
I have seen that.
That's what it must feel like to be in the room with those people, because you can't scream.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very much screaming inside the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Ariana, you've been a star on Broadway in Hamilton and other shows. I saw that you credited yourself on your Instagram as the Bullet. Nice.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that. I have some friends who have actors. I've learned about that joke. It's the person who's kind of like the head of the troupe. What was it like making the leap to a movie musical? How did you feel your performance had to adjust?
I mean, ultimately, you're using the same tools from your already existing toolbox. Just understanding the audience you're playing to and how they're receiving the performance. It's not that you really do anything different. It's just the camera, the screen is here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily have to shout to be understood. That's like the easiest way to put that. But it's I won't say that it was a necessarily easy transition. It definitely took a lot of work and a lot of training. I took copious classes trying to, perfect the craft of performing on screen, which, it's still not perfect. You're never not training for something you love to do. But it's been a joy. I think one of the perks of being an artist is that you're constantly curious about life. And this keeps my curiosity going. Because if you're not curious, I imagine you'd probably just be really bored,
Well, it looked absolutely effortless. I know that it's been a decades-old struggle for stage actors to transition to screen and be believable, and only a few have been able to really do it well. I mean, people like Andrew Rannells in your cast, I feel like he is constantly back and forth between the medium. So congrats. So basically there's absolutely no trick. You just have to study your butt off, and hopefully
you just have to study. I wish I could tell you there was like a secret sauce or a pill you could take. There's not. But I do think, I want to say, like, there's the Barbara Streisand of it all. She did it. I think the more you find those people that like did it, like it's just proof that you too can. You just got to find what works for you. That's what I think.
Absolutely. How long did you guys have to learn the choreography on this one? It felt like the turnaround on this was so fast. What was the timeline for rehearsal to shooting?
Well, I mean,
I think
I would say.
I'm supposed to be moderating. Jo Ellen, you go first.
Oh, sure. I think it was like roughly like, I've heard like 6 weeks sort of been tossed around. I remember like I flew out there to LA November 4th, and I remember that day like forever. And then we didn't start principal photography until around mid-December. And so I really did feel like we had like a good 6 weeks to really rehearse these dance numbers. And yeah, I'm so glad that I got to rehearse all of mine with like potentially the greatest dancer of our generation, Miss Ariana DeBose, and have her be sort of like, like, oh my gosh, like leading the way and all of this. So yeah, it was a
fun though. Our rehearsals were really fun. I mean, and we were figuring it out together. But yeah, it's like Jo said, we had a good amount of time. But I want to shout out, Miss Meryl and Nicole, like they trained for a good amount of time. Like a couple months, I believe, is what Meryl's quoted as like the second she got to LA, which was well before we got there. She started training. I heard she's even like she swam, like she was swimming trying to prepare for this role.
I didn't know that.
Okay,
that's
stamina.
amazing.
she said, "I'm not playing with this. We're gonna build the stamina, build the lung capacity. We're gonna perfect this performance." I was really heartened by that. Yeah,
Broadway actors, you guys are athletes, and I think it's important to take it seriously if you're going to do one of those roles.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what I will say that was really heartening to me about working on this film was how seriously the film actors took it, of trying to understand the process of making a musical and what it is that we go through on Broadway 8 times a week, because it is a very different skill set, and we are athletes. And I think now we're getting to a place where we can really have that conversation about, you know, it's not exactly as glamorous as it looks. This takes specific training and discipline to be able to execute these types of performances over and over and over again. And honestly, I'll be very candid in saying that's part of what I'm really enjoying about filmmaking. You do it once, really, really good, and then it's done. So, I mean, that doesn't mean I don't miss theater. I will be back as soon as we're back up and we can engage in theatrical experiences safely. But it's nice being able to get it on camera and call it a day.
Amazing. Are there any particular behind the scenes stories that you guys would like to share with this audience? I feel like you must have millions from this.
Oh. You go.
Was there a moment where you feel like you screwed up, or please?
I always just blank on this question because I feel truly there are so many wonderful experiences. I remember, there was one time, so when we were I think, like, for me, filming the finale, we filmed it over 3 days, was maybe like one of the most magical experiences, because it really did feel like we were all like rehearsing for our High School Musical's opening night. And we were like literally like the principal cast, we were like in a hallway, like rehearsing the dance. And like, then we'd be like, oh wait, there's a change. We have to go this way first. And like, it was literally like, we were just like helping each other out with the choreography. And also our fantastic choreo team just truly guided us the whole way and made us feel like, you know, we were, we were capable and we could do this. And it was the one time, like, every single person was on set together. And like, we had just the support of our wonderful, wonderful background actors who like truly gave us the energy we needed for every take. And then our dancers, oh my gosh. And I felt we really just got to highlight these incredible dancers. And then it was, like all of us, you know, we were coming together and like literally the opening night of High School Musical. And I will never forget, on our last day of filming that number, when we finally wrapped, it was, you know, like after a long, long day, like everyone just sort of like started congregating into this really big group hug, like sound played We Are the Champions over the speakers, and we just started like singing along, and like the high school football team won the state championships, like no one wanted to go home. We were just like living in this moment. And I mean, I will always treasure that, because again, like, one, we don't know when we're going to get back to, you know, being in crowds like that again. And also just like this feeling of like everyone from so many different backgrounds coming together for this common purpose and supporting each other. Like, I will never forget that.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. That's what I feel like a Ryan Murphy production is all the time in my mind. That's what I just imagine it as being, is just this giant party where everyone loves each other. So I really love to hear that. Ariana, do you have any particular experiences?
I mean, I echo everything Jo Ellen said. Like, that the inclusive prom was a joy to shoot, and it really just was a beautiful celebration of humanity. And you know, I think the lovely Keegan Michael Key deserves a shout out for being the mayor of our cast, constantly keeping everybody laughing. He loves a YouTube video special.
He has the most incredible trove of YouTube videos.
It's awesome.
It's hilarious.
He's like a dramaturg, but YouTube.
He really is.
YouTube.
Like,
It's
like he
great.
could write a dissertation. It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. And I mean, it just made us all feel so, I don't know, free. And so I would start pulling out YouTube videos. Joe would find a video, and it was just fun. Like, we laughed and laughed and laughed. There was a day Kerry ended up laughing in the floor. I don't even remember what she was laughing at, but Kerry Washington is laying in the floor crying from laughter. I will never forget that. It was great.
I actually wanted to ask about that since we're talking about on set and working with these other actors. What was it like having Kerry Washington as a mom? She always speaks at the GLAAD Awards, and I would love to have her as a mom. It's weird to see her as a nightmare mom. So can you tell us about what it was like working with her?
Kerry Washington is an angel human. Like, I don't know what else there is to say. She's incredible. The moment I met her, she walked right up to me. I was sitting in a makeup chair. And she's like, "Hi, I'm Kerry. I'm gonna be your mom. I'm so excited to meet you." And that was it. Like, we just launched in. She is not shy. She is the most supportive human being. We had great conversations about who we wanted these characters to be, how we wanted to present a Black family to the world in this way, in a conversation that we hoped we could start, even subtly. She was never afraid to go too deep. And I count myself very lucky because I came out of this whole experience with a good friend, like a sister friend. And I love her. We text, we'll chat. She's like, "What's going on, Ari? I don't understand. Ariana? It's like, it's the best.
I think you guys did a beautiful job, though, because I mean, her role in particular is a tough one to pull off and still somehow redeem by the end of it. And but as Kerry Washington, she gets it done.
Exactly, she does. It's handled. I mean, Kerry, what we've talked about lately is, it was a real exercise for her to step into someone else's shoes that shares beliefs, or that has beliefs that she does not personally hold. And I love that's what she's talking about and sharing that with the world, like that it allowed her to find a new understanding of compassion for someone that you disagree with, right? Because that's the moment that we're living in. That's the societal moment that we're living in, whether it be with the election or reflecting back over the last 4 years, there's a great divide between us all. And I think compassion is the key, trying to allow for that understanding of someone who inherently believes something differently than you do, and also greeting that person with the knowledge that everybody, just especially in this situation, everybody wants what's best for their children, right? It's been,
I think it's really important to show people changing their minds, because that's kind of the call to action right now.
The capacity
they start the show with they start the show with, "We're liberals from Broadway here to change your mind." It's like, that's not how we're going to do that.
Right.
So,
it's like, it's through these real connections that you get to make. And as you see in this film, it's that the connection from human to human, when you can really put a face to what you claim you disagree with, when you can see it up close. It's really hard to justify those feelings, I think. And I think we do a really good job, especially Kerry does a really good job of showing that shift.
I was surprised to see her in that role. It was really cool because she makes us cry every time she speaks at the GLAAD Awards. We have time for just one or two more questions, so I'm going to get to them. They're kind of the more important ones. What is your hope for this film, and what kind of audience do you hope it reaches? Ariana, if you could go first.
Yeah, I hope that this film ushers in a time where we can have more conversations about how we accept each other, right? One of the themes of this film is acceptance, and the knowledge, receiving the knowledge that even if you find yourself in precarious circumstances, there are always people out there who are willing to love you. So never give up on the possibility of yourself, and you can find that happy ending that we also desperately crave. It's still possible. Possibility of the happy ending, and specifically through Alyssa Green and Mrs. Green, I hope that there's a beautiful template portrayed for audiences so that people can see it's possible to have that conversation. It's possible to make space for your parent to come back to the table. And yeah, that's personally what I'm hoping is received by the good people.
That's beautiful. Joelle?
Yeah, I think echoing everything that Ariana said, like the message for me is if there's one thing that I hope especially young audiences take away from this is that their chosen family is out there too. Like what's so wonderful is like this Broadway troupe of actors like Alyssa Green and even at the end Mrs. Green sort of become Emma's chosen family, and that's how she is able to find the strength to speak her truth in a way that feels authentic for her. And so if young audiences can just see that, you know, hey, even though her chosen family isn't related to her by blood, they still love her so much. And that's what gives her the strength to speak out. And so for young people to just know that their chosen family, their people are out there too. And just they are not alone. So just don't ever stop looking, because there are so many people out there who cannot wait to love you and support you.
Yes, that's it. What she said.
That was it. Thank you guys so much for giving us such wonderful characters, such strong like role models, for being such strong role models. I really, really, really have been screaming inside my heart for the last 2 days knowing I was going to get to talk to you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Max.
I can't wait to see what you guys are up to next.
Oh,
Thank you.